It's the Dead Time Radio Show. I'm Billy. I'm here with my buddy Don. Hi, Don.
Hey, what's happening?
Nothing. What you doing?
I'm getting attacked
Yeah?
by a beast.
By some beast? I think one of these days we're going to have the intro. It's just going to be Mara's heavy panting because it's kind of creepy. Which brings me to what our episode will be. But before we get
amazing segue. Boom, boom,
right?
boom.
I'm pretty good at that shit.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm all wrapped up because she's got her paw
Got her
on
neck around it.
She's trying to eat it.
No eating. Open. Oh, it's around her neck. Okay, we got it.
All right.
Bless you.
Technical difficulty there. Mara apparently is allergic to wires. No, she's not. She eats everything in sight. Hey, this is the Dead Time Radio Show. And if you want to send us an email, you can send it to thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. Or you can call us on our phone that's just sitting there waiting for you to call and give us cool stories at 843-492-7966. We have lots and lots of cool stuff coming up. I'm not telling anybody anything yet because it's still in the works, but we got some really, really cool stuff coming up. Especially our season finale is going to be a blockbuster.
We've been working really, really hard. We hope y'all appreciate it and love it.
Yeah, I think you will. I think you guys will like it. Let me just say that.
Yes.
I think you will like it.
I think you'll like it. You'll like it a lot.
So today, that beautiful segue about, we're going to talk about creepy stories and strange things that happened. And these are like stories that people have told of incidents that have occurred in their lives that creeped them the fuck out. And we're hoping that they creep you the fuck out.
Yeah, he told me he read one story and I got like cold chills and I couldn't think for a minute because I was trying to figure out how do you place that? What happened? So.
I'm saving that one for last.
Those are some awesome ones.
That's the best one. All right. So we're on a page here that has 20 creepy true stories that'll make you want to check your closets.
If you dare.
Okay. Whenever they say if you dare, then that already just like deflates the whole thing. The hype is gone. It's probably going to be lame stories. But we're going to read these anyway because that's the way we are.
Because we're so lame.
Right.
We love lamage.
We do love lamage. That's like one of our things. So this one's called In the Middle of the Woods. Growing up, I lived in the middle of the woods. No neighbors for about a mile on each side, and we owned 60 acres of forest. Then the swamp after that. I would love to own 60
That's what I was going to say. We need to do that.
Right?
That'll be the start of our story.
Exactly. So basically, I lived in the middle of nowhere. One summer, when I was about 14, I was out in the middle of the woods playing with my dog. I'm an only child, and both of my parents were out of town. What? When I kept feeling something hit my elbow, I'd go to throw Max's ball, and the bump would make me throw it almost straight up. Assuming it was just me bumping it on trees or something, I ignored it. After the fourth or fifth time of happening, though, I thought, well, this sucks. I'll just go home. Walking back, I felt uneasy, but I knew I was just freaking myself out because we were alone. About an hour later, Max and I are at home on the couch when the garage door opens and he starts barking. I hop up to go let in my mom or dad, even though they were home early. I peered through the peephole and saw the door was still shut and no one was in the garage. Quieting Max down, I opened the door slowly and called out for my dad. Nothing. No response at all, so I got out to check the door and it's still locked. Okay, sure. Weird, but oh well. Max heard it too, so at least I know I'm not crazy. About 20 minutes later, I heard the door open again, and this time Max starts growling like crazy. I quiet him down again and just assume it's the wind or something making noise, even though by this point my heart is racing. I hear footsteps coming up the stairs and think, oh geez, Dad really is home this time, and hop up and run to the door. It starts to jiggle, so I run faster to let him in. I peep through the hole, and even though my hand is loosely around the jiggling handle, there's no one on the other side of the door. Terrified, I go hide on the couch with all the lights on. Max is still growling. About an hour after that, I start to feel a little better, even though I'm still terrified. Then I hear the door jiggle again. This time it was Max jiggling it. He needed to go outside, and the only way outside is through the garage.
Fantastic at this. Yes, exactly.
I literally sprint with him to the kennel, and as I'm standing in there, I decide to ask this thing questions to make myself feel better because I know it wouldn't answer me. Thinking about what to ask it, my eyes are drawn to the huge heavy oak door on the kennel. It was always open because it was too heavy for me to move easily. I said, "Okay, ghost, if you're real, you'll shut this heavy door." Nothing. A minute goes by. Nothing. Max is still sniffing around. I turn around to yell at him to hurry up, and then from behind me I hear click. I whipped around and saw the giant door had swung shut and latched. That's kind of creepy.
Dude.
Okay, clearly it was just the wind. If it was the wind and the door's too heavy for you to close, that doesn't make any sense. It wasn't really windy, but it was the wind for sure. It had to be.
He's just trying to explain it away.
Yeah,
he's freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, I'd freak out too. I proceed. Okay, ghost, that was the wind. If you're really, really, really real, you'll open this massive door back up. Nothing. I relax a bit and then squat down with my head on my knees, reminiscing about how lame I just was being scared when I hear click clack. The door was now wide open. Max was done, so we booked it back into the house, locking every door in the house. For the next 4 hours, I would hear the footsteps on the stairs and the door handle jiggling every few minutes, until finally, around 11 p.m., my dad walks in and yells at me for wasting electricity. I never told him or my mom about it until about 4 months later, when my dad came in from hunting after dark. He looked shaken, and I asked him what was wrong. He said he aimed at 2 deer but missed both completely because it felt as if something was hitting his elbow and making him shoot way above the deer.
Oh.
That's when I told him everything. That's kind of creepy.
Okay, first part of the story. If you don't have a dog, sometimes you don't even realize that that's happening.
Right.
So if you don't have to go outside to walk the dog or let the dog go pee and poo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the garage door, somebody has to have the opener to open the garage door.
Right.
Or push the button.
Right.
And then the big ass door shutting and opening. Like that, I don't know how to explain that out.
Yeah.
Who's hitting your elbow? That's like a brother thing. Like you're doing, hey.
Right. Like,
you're trying
don't
to
mess
shoot.
up. Don't mess up.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, look what you did. You made
See?
my mouse go all over the place.
See? Look, that's what I'm talking about. That's what a brother does. Or somebody that's trying to aggravate you. Or your cousin.
Right.
I have cousins that do that shit.
Yeah.
Are you trying to shoot?
Yeah, little fuckers.
So dad.
Yeah, it's all funny until you shoot your fucking cousin because he keeps hitting your elbow.
Right, but he's dead. So
right.
you
can't do it anymore, can you? Nah.
Yeah, he can. He can do it all the time. He can sing Henry VIII I Am while you're sleeping. Throwback to the ghost.
That was kind of creepy, man.
Yeah, that was, I don't know how to explain that. And then the door keeps jiggling. Okay, I've had that happen before, and there's been, like, crackhead people on the other side of the door. Why don't you fucking call the cops?
Right.
First thing, somebody's opening my garage door, I'm calling the cops.
Well,
they have a record of it.
14-year-old little girl, so she probably didn't even think of that. She just thought.
I mean,
I agree.
I don't know. First of all, you're left at home by yourself, so
right.
you're free game for anybody that's going to come in and murder you.
You better learn how to shoot, girl.
Yeah. That was wicked.
That was pretty wicked. That was not a bad start.
No, it's good.
All right. So this next one is only a paragraph, so who just knows? Cartel Crime. Living in the northern part of Mexico, the drug cartel's war was very intense in the city where I live a couple of years ago. I was waiting to cross the street when I saw a big truck dumping a plastic bag that happened to contain a fucking dismembered body. The worst part is that nobody did shit. I just waited for the light to change and ran like hell.
Dude.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense. That he's waiting at the cross... Oh, okay, never mind, it does. Dude, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't be waiting for the fucking light.
Right? You're going to wait till the walk sign's on.
That's a good citizen.
That's a good citizen. I'm just going to wait here while this guy's going to put a bullet in my head because I've witnessed what him dumping this body in the
look,
yard.
they just dismembered a body and threw it in the street.
It's just in separate trash bags.
Guess I'll just wait for the light to change.
Well, just check my watch here.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Number 3, you're not supposed to answer. My old co-worker had a son that was in his mid-30s, and he had a son named Hunter that was 4 or 5. She said that Hunter would have bad dreams and he would sleep with his dad when he got scared. One night, his dad woke up because he heard Hunter calling him, but he was calling him by his name, not Dad. So he went to his room and he was asleep. He woke him up and said, "Hunter, you were calling me. Is everything okay?" And Hunter said, "Dad, when they call you, you're not supposed to answer, and fell back asleep. He asked him about it in the morning, but he said he didn't remember saying it. I get chills when I think about it.
Okay, that's creepy.
That is fucking creepy.
Dude. So, yeah. So the little boy says, you're not supposed to answer when they call your name. So obviously they call his name.
Yeah.
The little boy's name. That.
When Mara calls my name, I don't answer. Because
she'll bite your face.
She will. She will eat your face right off.
So poor Hunter. How long has Hunter had to deal with that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But see, that's the thing. He said he doesn't even remember it when his dad asked him in the morning. He was possessed.
You think so?
I think so.
Possessed?
He was possessed. The house on Acorn Street. Okay, so I'm seeing a trend here of 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
When I was 14, my family and I fell on hard times. We got kicked out of our house and ended up in emergency housing. Basically, we went to charity, who found us a house that we were able to rent for $100 a month, but only for 3 months. That summer, my mom and stepdad separated temporarily, and my 3 younger siblings would go to my stepdad's for a week or so, then come back to my mom and me. This house was fucking creepy. Fucking creepy is all in capitals for those of you who are following along.
Yeah.
It started off with that feeling, you know, like something isn't quite right, that you might not be the only person in the room. In the day, that's all it was. The feeling that something was up. Your instincts pricking at you. I tried to ignore it, but as soon as dusk arrived, shit would start happening. More than once, I could hear this static-filled music playing, but I couldn't find the source. It just filled the halls. I heard whispering and went to my 2 sisters' room. In the open closet, a pair of eyes looked at me and disappeared. My brother spent one night in the house and didn't come back. In my room, I could never win. On one wall, a mirror. When I flipped over to face the window, I watched tall shadow figures pace in front of it. In my mother's room, the same shadow figures paced in circles around her room. One night, she and I sat up for 2 hours in her bed watching these shadows. She was strongly religious and didn't know what to make of it. During the time we lived there, there was a lunar eclipse. I had never seen one before and was very excited for it. When I went out to look, every time, this terror took over me and I couldn't stay outside. I couldn't explain it. When the moon was fully cloaked, I went outside, looked up, but my head suddenly snapped down to my left. I could see 3 tall shadows walking in between the tall pine trees in the yard. Panicked, I ran back inside and into my room, flinging myself under the covers with my eyes shut tightly, but listened to the pacing outside my bedroom window. 3 months of this. We moved out at the end of summer into a new house. My mom and stepdad got back together and I was with my younger siblings again. We all agreed the house on Acorn Street was fucked up and still get chills when we drive by it just to see.
Okay. First red flag. You paid $100.
Right.
What that means is they can't sell this house.
Right.
Because the fucking Aryans are there.
Aryans.
The Aryans. So, and we've talked about lunar eclipses before. That brings all the crazies to the yard.
There's a reason why our ancestors used to write stories about lunar eclipses and solar eclipses and catastrophic shit that happened during those times. I don't think that was just superstition, you know?
Yeah.
You always hear about stories. And, God, how many times have we worked on an eclipse and we get strokes galore all night and crazy people that want to fight with each other with box cutters.
Box cutters in their face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, but the shadow people, like we talked about last week, the shadow people, is that their stomping grounds? Did they take over that area and they're just allowing you to stay there? Like,
maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe they've always been there. But then, you know, we're getting into that same theory again, too, though. Is that really shadow people, or is it that house might be a dimensional portal?
Right.
So you're seeing a mirror image of what the other dimension is, but you can't clarify it because it's another dimension. So it's almost like when you look through stained glass window.
Another question.
Okay.
How are sheets and blankets going to protect you?
Right.
Like as a kid, you pull the covers over your head and you know you're protected.
Well, I mean, we did build forts when we were kids.
I know, but...
And that was like your magic place. Nobody could come in your fort. You were invulnerable. in your fort.
But Finley goes to sleep with, he has every part of him covered.
See, he's invulnerable. Sheets will save you
I obviously
in the mind of a child.
he can sleep, so
Yeah.
he has 3 lights on in his bedroom
Yeah, that's kind of
because
crazy.
he's a lighthouse. So
He's a lighthouse.
he is. He draws spirits and stuff to him. We
Oh,
talked about this
I
before.
thought you meant it in another way. Like,
What?
he's actually a lighthouse, or he thinks he's a lighthouse when he's in the sheets. And he just kind of moves his flashlight back.
No, but that
to
would be
save all the
super cool.
boats.
I would be okay with that.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Dude, I wore like my swim goggles for like a year of my life. I wouldn't take them off.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
I had to sleep in them. We had to go to the store. Like I had my swim goggles on. Yeah, I have pictures.
My niece used to wear a strainer on her head.
Really?
Yeah.
She was smart.
She
That's
liked
like
to wear-
Kimful.
Yeah, she'd wear a strainer, or she'd wear pots and pans.
Nice. She was protecting her head from
Right.
Aryan
The
invasion.
the funny thing about it is, though, is she was always scared of me. Like, anytime I would come see them, I would be like, "Come here, Erica, give me a hug," and she'd go running, screaming and crying. Gave me a complex for a while.
Wow. Well, my husband, when I sage him, he's sick for 2 days. So I said that's probably because he's a
Because
demon.
he's a demon.
You're a demon, and I love you.
Erica, you're a demon.
You're a demon. We love you. No, but we do. We check on him, and he's still covered. So I just like touch his arm of where I think his arm should be. I don't want to break the cloak of
Right.
invisibility.
That's right. Fin visibility.
Fin visibility, nice.
He's fin visible.
He's fin visible. Yes.
He's gonna hear that and be like, "Yeah, Uncle Billy, I am."
Yes.
All right. Number 5, I would always have the same dream. Up until I was about 8 or so, I lived in a really old house that since the beginning of time had been bounced around from relative to relative until eventually my mother had been handed over the keys. It was basically a shit heap.
Nice.
That's a real nice thing to say about a free house.
I got a free house. It's a shit heap.
2 stories, a collapsed balcony on the 2nd level, mold and mildew all over most of the ceilings, 1 tiny bathroom, and the toilet was outside. Overrun was frogs and spiders and whatever other kind of hellspawn the Australian outback would throw at us.
Oh.
That makes all the sense right in the right there.
You're in Australia.
Yeah.
I've never been to Australia,
I wanna
but
go.
y'all, Australian listeners, y'all need to tell us how things are out there. We have this fear that you just walk outside and like all these
Like even the mosquitoes have venom
everything.
sacs.
Yes, everything is going to kill you.
Crikey.
Why do you even go outside?
Crikey. Let me put my thumb in his butt.
No,
I was terrified
It's
as
not
a
South
child,
Park.
scared of basically everything. I'm much better now and have much bigger balls than most of my friends, if I do say so myself. Nonetheless, I would probably have to put the blame on this old house of mine. I remember as a child that I would always have the same dream. I'd start in the kitchen, no idea how I got there, of course. It was during the day, probably later in the afternoon. Nobody was around, so naturally I'd go looking for my mother and father. I'd go to all the normal places. Mom wasn't in the laundry shed or the lounge room. Dad wasn't on the patio outside or up the back at the chicken coop. And my sister wasn't around either. I was starting to get worried, thinking that everybody was gone and they'd left me alone, until I heard a noise above me coming from the 2nd floor where the bedrooms are. Relieved, I darted towards the stairs and jumped on the first step. Then I felt it. There was something in the back of my head making me stop. Legs still raised up as I prepared to move on to the 2nd step. Something telling me that I shouldn't go up there. Of course, this thought was running rampant in my mind. Don't go up there. Don't go up there. Stay down here. Don't go up there. There's something up there. Finally, my leg dropped before I could reconsider. I pushed myself up those stairs, and even though I didn't want to anymore, I couldn't stop myself, only slow down. Each step up was taken at an agonizingly slow pace, and I wanted so bad just to go back downstairs and find someone, run to my grandparents' house and stay with them until my mom was home. But eventually I rounded the corner, leaving only the last few steps leading up to the floor ahead of me. There was nothing there. I couldn't see anything in the stairwell. I started getting hopeful at this point. Maybe it's okay. Nobody's here. I was just imagining things and it's going to be fine. I'm still taking the slow steps up when it appears. Something's there. I can't actually remember what it is, and I never could after I woke up, but it was horrifying beyond belief, and I would always try to close my eyes because that was my thing as a child. If you can't see it, then it can't see you. But I could still see it. I couldn't blink. I couldn't shut my eyes. It was like my eyelids weren't working. I would even try holding my hands in front of my face, but still I couldn't block it out. I could see through my hands, and I couldn't do anything. I was frozen, unable to do anything except stare at this thing, all but a meter away from me. Whatever I saw, whatever I did for those 8 years I was at that house, I had to force myself up the stairs, day or night. It was horrifying. My mother sighed and tried to reason with me. My father growled at me and called me a coward, and my sister just laughed and said I was retarded. But every time I had to go up these stairs, as soon as I hit the top stairwell, I had to stop and make sure that I could cover my eyes with my hands or that I could shut my eyes. Of course, it would terrify me most when I'd go to blink and wave my hand in front of my face and it wouldn't work, and I'd realize I was dreaming. It's kind of creepy.
That's creepy. That's nice.
Kind of reminds me of that story I told you about when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Every Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
For like, I want to say 5-6 years. Mm-hmm. That I would have the dream that we were all downstairs opening presents, and one of my presents was a clown that showed up. And my parents were all pleased that they bought me a clown and all this other stuff. And they were like, why don't you go upstairs and play with the clown in your room? And I was like, okay. And then I'd go up there, and then the clown would turn into like this evil demon-looking thing and try to kill me. And I would run to the top of the stairs, screaming at the top of my lungs, and look down and see my parents and my brother at the bottom of the stairs laughing and having a good time. And they didn't even notice me. Like, they didn't hear me. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, he's gonna kill me. And they were like, ha 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 ha, down at the bottom, just didn't even know I existed. And
You were murdered.
And then I woke up
Yeah. Wicked.
every year for
So
Christmas for
don't do
like,
clowns.
yeah, like 5 or 6 years. It was weird.
Wicked.
I hated that.
Did you for real have the clown?
No,
It's just a dream that you got a clown.
just a dream that I got a clown.
Wicked.
I mean, I'm not afraid of clowns. They don't creep me out or anything. But it was just a weird dream.
That's wicked.
I don't know why I had it. And then it just, one year, I just never had it again. But it was like on cue every Christmas Eve. It was weird.
I have dreams about tornadoes that I'm in a tornado.
They made a movie about that.
Twister. And
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
No, but like I'm trying to save everybody, and then people aren't listening to me. Yeah.
Ah. This one sounds kind of creepy. Haunted truck. I used to have a truck that I swore had the ghost of a dead baby in it.
Oh.
I used to get home late from my job as a dishwasher, and after I parked and was sitting in my driveway with the engine off, I would hear this really faint sound of a baby crying. Late at night when it was quiet, it used to make my arms, hair stand on end. I used to get home and hop out of the car in fear of hearing it. One night, I decided to sit there and just listen, try to pinpoint the sound. Eventually, I discovered that it was indeed not a dead baby, but when I undid my seatbelt buckle, the old spring of the seatbelt retractor would slowly start pulling the belt in, creating a faint noise that sounded like wailing.
Debunked.
Debunked. He did it himself, too.
He debunked it, man. See?
All right. So, people, you get a special episode tonight. You're probably going to hear some crinkle crackle in the background. That would be Mara. She wants to be part of the show, so she wants to play with her toys right here in the room with us. Enjoy. Number 7. Alone. We was playing Connect one night. It detected a second player. I was alone.
Oh.
Is that a haiku?
No, that's like those ghost shows that they do.
No, you know what a haiku is, right?
Yes, I know what haiku is.
I think that's what his whole story was. I was a haiku.
3 lines.
3 lines. That's kind of creepy, though.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Short and to the point.
Yep. No fluff.
Right. Number 8, The Neighbor. A few years back, I rented an apartment from a friend of mine. He had recently bought it and had it completely renovated. He put it up for sale but couldn't find a buyer, so I offered to rent it in the meantime. After moving in, I realized there was something wrong with the lady next door. She was about 45 but looked much older. She would sit up all night listening to Christian radio shows and talking loudly to someone. It got to the point where I couldn't sleep, so I went over to her place and asked her to keep it down. She opened her door and I got a quick peek. Her walks all had crosses pointed on them in different colors.
Painted.
What are walks?
Walls. I think it's supposed to be walls.
Okay. Her walls all had crosses
painted
painted on them in different colors, and words like Jesus and angels scribbled everywhere. The windows were painted black, letting no light in at all. It was damp, yellow-stained, 50-year-old carpets, dog shit and cockroaches everywhere. No dog, though.
Ew. That's like those hoarders shows I watch.
Right? I asked her to please keep it down. She just looked at me and shut the door. Then she turned up the radio even louder. The next night, I had my girlfriend staying over. I wake up in the middle of the night and see a shadow of a person next to the bed looking at us sleeping. I think I'm hallucinating, as I usually do in the dark when I'm sleepy. But then the shadow starts talking. It's my neighbor, and she's holding something in her hand. She broke in during the night, and who knows how long she stood there. You should lock your door at night, she says, and walks out. The next morning, I hear someone making strange noises below my bedroom window. It's my neighbor talking to herself in tongue. She had a plastic bag in her hand with a rotting dead dog inside.
Oh!
It's hot as hell outside, and I can smell death from the bag. At this point, I'm scared shitless. She's obviously very insane.
Yes.
I go upstairs and knock on another person's door and ask what the hell's going on. The guy is as scared as me. Apparently, she broke into his apartment one evening as well while he was watching TV with his kids. He got up from the couch to get a snack, only to find her behind the couch staring at him, holding a power drill. Now I know what was in her hand. At this stage, I'm basically pooping myself. I call the cops, and they know all about her. Apparently, she is a violent schizo, and she hasn't taken her meds, but they can't force her or enter her apartment without her permission because she owns it. The only thing they can do is get her when she goes outside. I sit up for the next 2 days waiting for her to run out of cigarettes. When I hear her leave at 2 a.m. to go across the road to the 7-Eleven, I call the cops. They have 3 cars and a special van over in less than 2 minutes. They restrain her and throw her in the van and drive off to some institution, and in less than a minute, it's like she was never there. I never see her again. Still have nightmares about her looking at me in my sleep.
Dude, we have stuff like under our pillow. So.
I would shoot a motherfucker.
Yeah, she'd have a bullet in between her eyes.
Stupid to bring a power drill to a gunfight.
Correct. And then if you break in, like he's there with his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. No, you're getting your carotid artery slashed because you have a weapon.
Yep.
Go to your room, kids.
Yep. Pretty much. Yeah, that was fucking creepy.
That is so true, though. That's why it's creepy, because it could actually happen.
Yeah.
It's actually real. She was carrying around her dead dog in a plastic bag.
Yeah, that's fucking gross.
Wow. Dude.
Coyotes in the Night. That sounds like a rock song.
Coyotes in the night.
Yeah, or a country song. You can hear the coyotes in the night.
Beautiful. That was beautiful.
I was fixing a jump belt on an old Gleaner K2 in the middle of the field in the middle of the night. See, that sounds
perfect.
like a song lyric right there, doesn't it?
Does.
I was fixing jump belt on an old Gleaner K2 in the middle of a field in the middle of the night. When my dog, 110-pound lab, it's not a country song because he's got his dog still.
Oh, well, maybe it'll go away in the end.
Maybe the
So
coyotes
keep
get
reading.
us.
Yeah. Coyotes.
When my dog, 110-pound lab, who's usually sniffing for birds when I stop, is standing still and letting out a growl I've never heard from him. I shine my almost dead flashlight where he's looking, and I see 3 sets of eyes change quickly from a glow to a silhouette to coyotes.
Ooh.
They're pretty harmless on their own, but in a pack, they're relentless.
Correct.
I call for my dog and bolt for the cab, but he runs at them instead. I stood on the platform for what felt like hours as my dog tried to fight off the now 5 coyotes. I couldn't let my buddy die, so I grabbed the hammer and wrapped my jacket around my arm. The second I got close, one of them went for my leg, and I offered my arm instead, which it gladly took, and I swung down on its back with all my might. Second coyote, same as the first. Second verse, same as the first. Grabbed my arm, and I swing at its back. The other 3 are switching between fighting and dragging my dog into the corn, and like an idiot, I throw the hammer at the pack with no effect. I kick the one doing the most dragging, and he thankfully runs off. I picked up the hammer and swing at the one my dog doesn't have, and stood back up and watched my dog chase off the 5th. He came back bloody and limping, but no worse for wear. But even with the rabies shot, he started showing symptoms about a week later. Toughest thing I had to do to date was putting that dog down. It is a country song.
It is. I told you he's gonna lose his dog.
Mm-hmm.
Coyotes ate my dog.
Yeah. I got coyote problems.
He went for my arm and I hit him in the back.
Killed old Yeller in the process.
Threw him in the corn.
Oh my God. I'm sorry about your dog, dude. I just lost one of my
No.
dogs. 16 years old. My poor little baby boy. He was my boy. Smeagol. He was my precious. He was a handsome lad, people. I will miss him forever. All right. Number 10, Sleep app. A few months ago, I downloaded a program for my phone, Sleep as Android. I've never heard of that program.
Sleep as an android.
I bought the premium version of the app for the extra features to record sound throughout the night when volumes reached a certain threshold. It would activate when I would snore or move around. I would usually spend the next evening going over some of the recorded sounds. Everything was pretty normal until I listened to something out of the ordinary. It was near the beginning of April, and I had the apartment to myself. I'll let you listen to the sound before I go on explaining it. There's no link to listen to the sound.
No.
I started out picking up my snoring, and then hairs on my neck stood up as I hear my doorknob moving. Following this, you can hear my door open slowly. I was confused and a little worried. Everything was still locked up. Nobody came home. The chain lock was still latched on the front door, and my landlord certainly didn't come. I don't use the app anymore.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't think it's the app's fault.
No.
The app
I think
didn't
you
open
might
the
need
door.
to use the app more because the app records crap that you can't hear.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
You get
my
wigged
God.
out by the app. You should get wigged out by whatever the hell's in your house.
Yeah,
Waking you up. That's why you can't sleep.
dumbass. Lock the doors, number 11. This happened to me when I was about 8 and still scares me to this day. One evening, I went to let my dogs in from the back garden at around 9 p.m. It was pitch black, so I quickly opened the door and my dogs came bounding in. As soon as they came in, I locked the door, and at this moment, a person on the other side pulled the handle down, trying to get into my house. We had a glass door, so even in the dark, I could see the outline of a man standing there. I ran to my dad, and he ran into the back garden after this man and saw him running down the road. Since then, I have closed and locked doors at the speed of light.
Dude. He was on crack or something.
Yeah, it's a good way to get shot in my house. Better let go of my door, sir. Or my two roommates, Smith and Wesson, are going to have a chat with you.
Wow, that's terrifying.
That is kind of terrifying,
like you
dude.
shut the door. What if you wouldn't have? What if
Especially
he'd
if
got
you-
his foot in the door and there you
Yeah.
are standing there as a kid with your dog on the other side?
Especially if you're, like, not expecting it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That was
Or
crazy.
what if your dad wouldn't have been there like the other 14-year-olds that we've read in all the other stories?
Right? Exactly. At least his dad was there.
Right. And then the man would have just continued to try to keep getting in.
Right? I don't know, man. A lot of these are like when they're kids.
Yeah.
Number 12. Who was it? Question mark. When I was 7, I woke up in the middle of the night with an earache. I decided to tell my mom and stepdad and walked out of my room. Someone was sitting on a chair in the living room, about 3 feet away from my bedroom door. The person looked strange. The face was just kind of distorted, but it was dark and I couldn't see well. Mom, I asked. The person shook their head and I started getting scared. Mike? The person shook their head again. I decided the best course of option was to go back to bed so I wouldn't have to walk past this person. I climbed in bed and closed my eyes for a second before opening them and seeing the person standing in my doorway, smiling madly and nodding furiously.
I would scream to the
I
top.
screamed at the top of my lungs and closed my eyes. My stepdad came running out of his room in his underwear with a baseball bat. That was a scary sight in itself. He probably had a ball hanging out.
Hey, man, he had a baseball bat.
There was nothing there but clothes my mom had folded and put on the chair were strewn about the living room. For the longest time, I told myself it was my cat sitting on the clothes.
No, dude.
That's
Somebody was
fucking
shaking their head
creepy.
back and forth. You
Yeah.
did not see that. That was something that was... Man. See, that's why you have dogs.
Yeah, well,
What this one does, she'll just lick them to death.
yeah,
She
basically.
licked all the lotion off my legs and my feet. So now I have to reapply.
Number 13, Puddles of Blood. Watching an A7 Corsair grab the number 3 cable that had not been fully retracted.
What does that mean?
An A7 Corsair is a fighter jet in the Navy. So it
Okay.
was landing on an aircraft carrier. The
So
number
what's the number
3
three
cable is the very last cable before you have to pull up because you've missed landing on the aircraft carrier.
Okay, I got it.
After the wire broke and whipped around, 2 sailors were dead and 2 were amputees.
What?
Those things have a lot of tension on them.
Shut up.
Getting to the scene sounds after was the most horrific sight I have witnessed. Using a mop and pail to swab up the puddles of blood. Heart-wrenching.
Dude, that is a creepy story. That's like that ship, that ghost ship. Remember where the thing just cuts everybody on the whole entire ship in half?
Yeah. So just imagine those wires, those cables are stopping. I don't know how heavy some of these aircraft are, but very heavy aircraft going about 120 to 150 miles an hour. And they're putting full thrust as soon as they touch down on the carrier deck, because they have an arrestor hook at the back of the plane that grabs that cable, and that cable stops the plane.
So they thrust so the butt
But
will
they
go
have
down.
to go full thrust.
So the bottom will go down.
No, they go full thrust in case they miss. They can just pull up.
Okay. So he ripped it.
Right.
He thought he wasn't going to get it.
So
when he ripped it, it whipped and cut everybody in half.
The cable didn't fully come out. So basically, the tension in that cable was too much. With all that force pulling on it, it snapped in half.
Right, because he thought he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't. It was on the third cable.
That's
Dude.
creepy. That would suck, man.
Oh my God.
Number
That's like the
14.
nightmare.
Yeah. Ghosts on a tin roof. I'm a nighttime tour guide at an old convict prison in Australia. It's run by the government, so the tours are pretty watered down and family friendly. The tours run between like 6 and 9 on Wednesday and Friday nights, and some of the scariest shit I've ever experienced has happened there. I'm not convinced in ghosts and whatnot, but if there are, they're definitely there. Every other person who works there has their own creepy story. My scariest was when I had a group of about 30 people in the gallows one night, the room where people were hanged. And the room is made of corrugated tin. So I was there doing my bit when suddenly there was this huge bang on the roof. Everyone looked up and a few people screamed, but a lot laughed. We have a few actors that jump out on tours, so they probably thought it was that. The banging didn't stop, though. It was kind of irregular at sort of like half-second intervals, like boom, 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 boom. And people were getting creeped out, me included. So I took the group outside. Now the roof of the room is a slanted A-frame, so if you walk back a bit, you can see the outside roof. We all watched as this one bit of tin looked like it was being stomped on from the outside, moving and everything still banging when I took the group to the next spot. We finished off the tour and a few people thought it was a joke, but it genuinely terrified me. I've got some ghost photos on my Galaxy I'll try and upload now, but I'm not very good at interneting.
Ooh. So, man.
Well,
there's a lot of haunted places that are like that. Like, I was looking at the castles. They have
negative energy in some of those places, too.
Yeah. Any jail or gallows or, I mean, you got to think about, we were talking about Auschwitz, how the energy there would be just so saddening and overpowering, and jails. And, those people are still there. They died in chains and they're still there. So they're trying to get out. You would bang and clang and, if you were in there and say you were not guilty or whatever, even if, if you're starving, they starve you to death in most places. They just leave you in there.
Wow.
So that would terrify me. But it would be cool if we did it and you thought somebody else was, like, acting.
Right.
But that dude's like, they weren't fucking acting.
Yeah, that shit ain't an act.
That's real. That's for real life.
Bitches, this shit's real. That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Number 15, his lovers or his victims.
Ooh.
This is creepy. At least I always thought it was. I was working in a big grocery warehouse. Hundreds of people worked there. It was night shift, sitting in a break room at lunch with a couple of other guys trying to find something to talk about to stay awake. I started talking about the best jobs I've ever had. After a minute or so, this older guy who never said more than a word or two at a time starts telling us about this nursing home he used to work at. He was in his 60s and he'd already been at this current job for 30 plus years at the time. So his story took place when he was a young man, I surmised. He was an attendant for this nursing home, and he told us he used to have sex with many of the female residents. These were elderly ladies and handicapped people as well.
Ew.
He told us he'd usually get it on with at least one of them every night, and they were all very grateful for his attention. He felt he was in heaven at the time. According to him, some of the ladies he was involved with were in their 80s, and all of them were very lonely. He said his favorite was a younger woman who had cerebral palsy or some nerve disorder.
No.
He said that although she couldn't talk, he could tell she loved his attentions by the way she'd squirm and wiggle during sex.
I mean, she's trying to get away, dude.
He told us he'd eventually been let go from this dream job, but not for what reason. When break was over and he left the break room, me and the other guy sat there for a moment, and I asked him if he'd ever heard that story before. He said, hell no. I've never even heard him talk that long about anything before. The guy in question was always such a quiet guy, and I switched back to day shift not long after that, so I never talked about it with him again. But it really stuck in my mind in a creepy way. I think he believed what he said. But were these women his lovers or his victims?
Victims, dude.
That's just fucking creepy.
Victims. Like, no, they're... Yeah, I understand they're old enough to make their own decisions, but...
Some of them
cerebral
have
palsy
dementia.
that can't even talk to you?
Right, and some of these people have dementia.
So that they just took a different lover every night. They didn't know. So he would prey. That's prey
Yeah. That's a
on the
predator.
women.
Yeah, that's a predator.
Ugh.
And the fact that he sits there and talks about it like they loved
Boasting.
it. They were asking for it. Dude, you're a fucking sick
Man, that's
bastard.
a sadist.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Hit the lights, number 16. To really get my story, you have to have an understanding of my third floor landing. Well, tell us about your third floor landing, sir. There's a single set of stairs that lead up to it. Once on the landing is a T-shape with an office to the left, my bedroom to the right, and straight ahead is a bathroom with a shower. Anyway, one night, 10 p.m., around, I'm taking a shower before I head to sleep. The glass panels on my shower is that, like, concave, convex glass that blurs everything. So everything was blurred and unclear. I glance at the door, and I see some kind of hand-like figure. Now, it was pitch black, so right there it freaked me out because I come from a family of pale white Welsh people. What freaked me out more was how the hand seemed to come through the door, at least at an angle where whomever the hand belonged to, it would be visible. All it did was hit the lights, that's it. No noise, no attack or anything. It just turned off the fucking lights.
Creepy as shit.
So there I am, I just witnessed a phantom hand, and now I'm in my shower and it's pitch fucking black. I've never been so chilled to the bone before. Something about being in the darkness of the night, with the only noise being the water hitting the floor beneath me, just reduced me to the most primal state of pure fear I've ever been in. Mm-hmm. I eventually get myself to leave the shower and hit the lights. The relief that came over me was immense. I've never been able to explain it. The stairs up to the landing are old and creak like hell. I would have heard someone come and go down. No one was in my room or the office. Weirder still, nothing like this has happened since.
Dude. Okay, so Eric, something like this happened to Eric when he was little. He said he was 9 years old taking a bath in this yellow house that was like completely haunted. I guess the dad had thought that his girls were getting too promiscuous and too womanly, so he murdered both of them.
Yeah.
And one of them, they didn't know this at the time, but one of them they had murdered in that bathtub that he was taking a bathtub in. So he said he heard somebody walking down the hallway and he thought it was his mom. Well, he saw a hand come in, like this story, come in and turn the light off. So he's like, that's not funny. Turn the light on. No one ever did. So he was just pissed off. He thought, because he's got a brother and a sister.
Right.
So he's like, he's fucking with me. So he said his brother and his sister were like at the other end of the house. So somebody reached their hand in and turned the freaking light off on him when he was 9. So this story is, I mean, that's terrifying because you don't want to move. You're just like, okay, number one, who's in the house? Am I the next target?
Right.
Because when you're like an evasive move, if somebody's outside, you turn all the lights off inside because you're basically a fishbowl. Mm-hmm. So you can see outside. So you see nothing.
Yeah, that's fucking...
That's terrifying.
Now, I have clear glass sliding doors on my shower just for that reason.
So you could see clearly.
So I can be like, bitch, don't even touch that light. Of course, I like to shower in the dark anyway. I'm kind of creepy.
Okay.
I like it. It's soothing.
Okay. So you're a preemptive strike.
Right. So,
yep. So you're already dark, bitches, if they turn the light on.
I'd be more freaked out if the light got turned on. I'd be like, oh, hell no. I'm out of this
It's on.
Running around with my wiener hanging out. Get back here and turn that light off.
Shower with the light off, or you don't even look at your own body? What's wrong with you?
Well, I don't want to look at my body. And sadly, there's a mirror right across from the shower. So I make the shower really hot so the glass steams up so I don't have to see my wang.
That is terrifying. That is the primal fear that he's talking about.
Basically.
Yeah.
No, like
hang a poster over the mirror. So
it's really good. I get migraines every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
And they
Eric
don't.
gets
They're
those.
not like super hardcore. Like I can't handle light or sound bullshit, but they hurt.
Yeah.
And they hurt bad. And sometimes they're not super hurting, but they just stick around all day.
Right.
And they just gnaw at me.
Right.
So one of my favorite things to do is take a really super hot shower and just sit in there and let the water hit me with the lights off. It
That
just
makes sense.
soothes me.
Yeah, because when Eric has one, we have to be quiet and not make a noise, and he has to be in the room and lay down and no motion, no lights, no nothing.
Yeah,
so.
see, mine aren't that
His are bad.
but they get to the point where all I want to do is just sleep, close my eyes, but I just need something to relieve it.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten them like that since I left Vegas, but
Yeah, he hasn't gotten them like that since we left 515. He got them really bad. It's been probably about a year since he's had.
I think because
A bad
Vegas
one.
has such dry air, that could have
Yeah.
been why it was so intense out there.
Or the EMS, because there's always lights, there's always stuff.
Right.
You know, you're probably major sensitive to that. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
work in a freaking environment where it's EMS.
It's just EMF and
you
X-ray.
live in EMFs for 12 hours,
Right.
3 days.
But I mean, I've gotten a couple here that just like they just sit around all day and plink on my brain.
Yeah.
But nothing to the point where it's like I can't move. Or I used to get those all the time in Vegas. They would hurt so bad, and I was just like it would ruin my day.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I don't get them.
So my aunt has those right now, but with dizziness. Can you imagine that? Like you have a migraine and you have dizziness.
Yeah, that would suck. And I've had a couple where I used to get like nauseous, but
Right.
I would never barf.
Yeah, he would get. Eric gets really nauseous. But my aunt, she's got the dizzy. She's got to go to the dizzy doctor. I guess this guy that just a physician that only works on patients that have severe dizziness. So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is just some strangey stuff.
Strange.
So I'm going to finish off the stories with my favorite one. This one I read while we were at work last night, waiting for a patient to show up.
Yes.
And it creeped me the fuck out, and I love it. It says, it's called Seeing Double. My dad used to get up around 3 a.m. every morning for work. Starting at a very early age, I would wake up on my own and wander downstairs to see him before he left. One morning, when I was about 4 years old, I made it to the bottom of the stairs and noticed that the front door was ajar. I opened it up and saw my father in his favorite work shirt making his way down the driveway to his truck in his typical work outfit, a plaid shirt and dickies. I swung the door open wide and yelled for him to come back for a hug before he left. I'll never forget what happened next. He slowly turned around and just stared at me and started walking back towards the house. He was looking so strangely at me that it started to scare me, and I began crying and asking what was wrong. Just as he had almost reached me, a pair of arms encircled me from behind in a bear hug. I turned my head to see my understandably freaked out father staring at his doppelganger in the same outfit, and that's not even the creepiest part. The double took one look at my dad and ran down the driveway. Meanwhile, my dad yanked me in the house and locked the door. Weirdest morning ever. Never did quite figure that one out. I would not trust my 4-year-old memory of the event if it wasn't also witnessed by my father. He won't really talk about it these days, but my mom has since told me that he called out of work and she spent the day reassuring him he was not a nutcase.
Wow.
I can't even fucking imagine.
What was it? The door was ajar. So, I don't understand what happened.
I don't know, man.
Same. Was he witnessing a different world, or was he I can't even wrap my head around that one.
Yeah, it's just really fucking crazy.
And you as a kid, you're like, hey, that's Dad. Hey, can I have a hug?
Yeah.
Yeah, wicked.
I don't know, fucking, yeah. I don't know, man. So, those are the good stories. I like those stories.
Those are good.
So now, it is time, Dawn. It is time for weird news.
Nice. I like weird news.
Me too.
Getting used to it.
Mystical shaman snake staff charms archaeologists.
Ooh.
According to a study released on Monday, a perfectly preserved 4,400-year-old snake-shaped stick discovered in a lake in Finland may have been a shaman's staff used to perform mystical rituals.
Ooh, I like that one.
Wow. Town and former media mogul settle yabba dabba doozy of a lawsuit. A years-long battle for the Stone Age has come to an end after the town of Hillsborough, California, and homeowner Florence Fang quietly settled a lawsuit over her choice in landscaping, a fully decked-out Flintstones fever dream.
That's so cute.
Fang, a retired media mogul, began renovations after purchasing the home in 2017, adding statues of the famous characters, massive metal dinosaurs, a parking strip, and a sign that reads Yabba Dabba Doo to complement her vibrant, bulbous-shaped home. The San Francisco suburb was not a fan of the cartoon-themed decor, calling it a highly visible eyesore, and claimed that Fang had violated local code in her reimagining of the town of Bedrock. There's always got to be a fucking buzzkill. Let the girl fucking have her shit, man. I'm glad she won. I'm glad
So
she
was
won.
able to live and they just left her alone, or?
Yeah. Fang received $125,000 from a countersuit.
Wow.
And Fang will also be able to file new permits for the changes, which are guaranteed for approval. Fuck yeah.
Good deal. It's adorable, man. It's got these rounded houses, and they're purple and orange, and there's dinosaurs in her yard, and
Yeah, it looks cool.
Fred
It looks like
Flintstone and
looks like the whole town of Bedrock.
Betty and Wilma and Fred. Like, it's got everybody.
Awesome.
Barney. God, that's super cool. She did a really good job.
Yeah,
It's
she
not,
did.
in my opinion, it's not gaudy or
No.
whatever. It's
People are just
done well.
buzzkills, man. It's California, so
Truth.
you've got some fucking asshole that wants to ruin everything.
I know. That's why everybody's moving out.
Yep.
Over to here.
Neighbors to chop tree in half out of poop-induced pettiness.
What?
A UK couple resorted to petty means to stop noisy birds from pooping on their property, chopping down half of a 25-year-old tree shared with their neighbors. The 16-foot tall fir tree is planted directly in between their house and the home of Bharat Mistry, who said the tree has been there for over 25 years.
That's sad, man.
According to Mistry, the neighbors asked to have the tree removed during the pandemic lockdown last year as they were bothered by the noise and poop being produced on their side. Mistry tried finding a resolution where they could keep the tree while minimizing the bird issues, including offering to get it trimmed back and adding a net to keep birds from living in it. But the couple would not budge. On the weekend of 18 July, the couple informed Mistry that they would be hiring an arborist to cut it down, which Mistry begged them not to do. By Friday, the tree had been chopped, albeit in half. So now they show pictures of it.
That's sad.
That's very sad. Those people are ass faces.
Wow. Poor tree, man. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
People, they upset me sometimes.
Beaver to blame for earliest known plague.
What?
The earliest known strain of bubonic plague bacterium has been discovered in the skull of a 5,000-year-old hunter-gatherer in Latvia. Analysis of the skull, which belonged to a 20 to 30-year-old man called RV 2039, that's what they used to call themselves back then?
RV
2039.
Wow. I have one of those.
Revealed the presence of Yersinia pestis, a strain of bacteria that decimated Europe's population in the form of the Black Death.
Wow.
Based on the lack of bacteria in 3 bodies surrounding the man, the Y. pestis discovered appears to have been less transmissible and lethal than later variants. However, it does appear that it was the cause of RV 2039's death. The discovery disproves a 2018 theory about the plague's responsibility for the Neolithic decline, with evidence now suggesting that a more chronic infection caused it.
So what, they had to eat the beaver
Yeah.
for it to be ingested, and then it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and then it's in their brain?
Yeah. As for
Oh,
how
man.
RV 2036 contracted the bacteria, it appears that a beaver bite is to blame,
Oh.
as evidenced by animal remains found in the same site. I've had some dangerous beaver in my life.
It bit you?
It bit me.
It bit you good.
Something bit me. Oh, yeah. I told you beaver was dangerous.
So it says it's in the
It says it
form
can
of
wipe out entire populations.
Justinian plague.
Justinian plague.
So it's Justin Bieber plague?
It's Bieber plague.
Justinian plague.
So
What's the Black Death?
maybe they're pronouncing it wrong. It's not Beaver, it's Bieber.
It's it. That's what I said.
Right.
Justin Bieber plague.
Yeah. Well, it's not good.
He got bit by a Bieber.
He got hit by a Bieber.
And infected his brain.
Wow. That's fucking
So
crazy.
don't let beavers bite you.
Yeah, beavers are bad, okay? Don't do beavers. Beavers are bad, okay? Yeah, so if you guys have some cool stories like the creepy ones that I read today and Donna and I discussed, you should let us know all about them, and there's many ways that you can do that. You can telepathically tell me them, and I will relay them through channeling in the next show. Or you could just do it the easy way and send me an email at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com, or you can call us at our telephone number, 843-492-7966. I think this was an awesome show, Dawn.
I think so too.
And I think we had a lot of fun. And I think you people should let us know what you think. We got lots of stuff in store coming up for you, so stick around, and we'll see you the next time.